awake to the sound of clanking iron. The heavy rattle of chains doesn't just echo in your ears, it presses into your skin, biting at your wrists. You are no longer free. You are no longer a citizen, nor a farmer, nor a soldier. You are something else now, something owned. You are a slave. And not just any slave. You are bound for the life of a gladiator. The Romans called them servipine, slaves of punishment. To the crowds of Rome, you will be nothing more than a spectacle, a body to be broken for their amusement. But before you face the roar of the Colosseum, you must first endure the humiliation of capture. It may have begun in war. Perhaps you were taken as a prisoner when your homeland fell to the might of Roman legions. Maybe you once raised a sword in defiance, only to have your shield splinter beneath the Roman pila, your comrades crushed under the iron discipline of their formations. Or maybe your fate was more common, more pitiful. You were born free, but sold into bondage by debt, betrayal, or cruel fortune. Whatever the origin, your chains tell the truth now. You belong to Rome. The journey to the gladiator school ludus gladiatorius is harsh and degrading. You march with others like you, beaten men, sullen women, captured youths, all herded like cattle. Guards shout orders in Latin, prodding the slow with spear butts. Each step you take grinds dirt into the sores forming at your ankles, where the shackles rub raw against your skin. The road is long, some do not make it. The weak fall and are left behind. No one stops for them. You quickly learn the lesson Rome teaches all its slaves. You are replaceable. When you finally reach the gates of the gladiator school, the air is thick with the smell of sweat, iron, and fear. The lanista, the master of the gladiators, inspects the new arrivals. His eyes are sharp, calculating as though weighing your worth in coin and blood. He is not cruel for cruelty's sake, but he is indifferent. To him, you are not a person. You are an investment, a body to be trained, used, and perhaps one day killed for profit. You are stripped of your clothes, your dignity, your past. A branding iron hisses as it presses into flesh, perhaps your leg. You are marked forever, seared with the symbol of the gladiator school, a sign that you are now property, a thing to be used for the pleasures of the crowd. That night you sleep in a dark cell with straw for bedding. The air is heavy with the groans of men dreaming of lost freedom. Some whisper in strange tongues. Others remain silent, their eyes vacant. You realize you are surrounded by enemies and allies alike, Gauls, Thracians, Germans, even other Romans who crossed the wrong path. All are here for the same fate. Morning brings no relief. The clang of a bell summons you to the training yard. Wooden swords rudis are thrust into your hands. A trainer, often a former gladiator himself, barks orders. The training is brutal, repetitive, unending. Your muscles ache, your lungs burn, but the blows keep coming. Every mistake is punished, not always with correction, but often with pain. A lash across the back, a kick to the ribs, a scar that reminds you that weakness will kill you faster than the sword. Here, in the dust and sweat, you learn the first rule of the gladiator's life. Discipline is survival. You are drilled in footwork, forced to repeat the same stances until your body obeys without thought. You learn to wield weapons not of your choosing, but of Rome's design. Perhaps the curved blade of the Thracian Sika, the broad shield of the Murmillo, or the deadly net and trident of the Retiarius. Each style is crafted not only for combat, but for spectacle. Rome cares as much for entertainment as it does for blood. And always, above you, looms the figure of the lanista. He watches with cold calculation, judging which of you will live to thrill the crowd, and which of you will die before even reaching the arena. Food is meager, but enough to keep you alive. Barley porridge, beans, bread, a little meat. The diet of the gladiator is designed not for taste, but for bulk. A layer of fat, they say, helps wounds heal and protects against deep cuts. You eat what you are given, knowing that hunger is a luxury you can no longer complain about. At night, when the yard is silent, you hear whispers of escape. Some dream of breaking free, of scaling the walls and vanishing into the countryside. But the guards are vigilant, the punishment severe. Crucifixion awaits those who try and fail. Most gladiators learn quickly that their chains are stronger than their dreams. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. The training never ceases. Some fall in exhaustion, others in despair. Yet a few thrive, finding strength in the rhythm of combat, pride in mastering the arts of death. You begin to understand that gladiators are both slaves and warriors, despised yet admired, the paradox of Rome itself. And then comes the day you are chosen. The editor, the sponsor of the games, requires new fighters. Your name is called. The trainer hands you a weapon. The crowd will see you. The arena awaits. Your heart pounds with fear, with dread, with something else, something you cannot name. Perhaps it is anticipation. Perhaps in some twisted way you long for the roar of the crowd, for the chance to prove yourself. Or perhaps you long for the release of death, the end of chains, the freedom that only the grave can grant. The gates of the arena are opening. The sun blinds you. The sand stretches wide and merciless. Somewhere above, thousands of eyes fix on you. Hungry for the show, you step forward. A slave, a warrior, a gladiator, and Rome demands your blood. The air is thick, heavy with dust, sweat, and something sharper, the metallic tang of blood carried on the wind like an omen. You squint as the bright sun strikes your eyes, so much harsher than the dim training yard where you spent countless hours drilling. This place is vast, overwhelming, almost unreal. The arena floor stretches before you, golden sand rakes smooth, waiting for footprints, for bloodstains, for screams. The amphitheater towers above you in great arcs of stone, tier upon tier crammed with faces. Thousands, tens of thousands, all eyes turned downward, watching, judging. You have never felt so small, yet never so exposed. Their voices merge into a roar, a sound that vibrates in your chest. They do not know your name. They do not care about your past. To them, you are not a man. You are a moment's thrill, a fleeting spark in the endless hunger for spectacle. The editor sits in his elevated seat, draped in fine cloth, a wreath upon his head. He paid for this spectacle, bought your blood for his reputation. Around him sit the powerful, the senators, the nobles, women adorned with jewels, children pointing with wide-eyed excitement. The common people crowd the upper seats, their cheers no less deafening. You stand among other novices, trembling beneath the weight of armor that feels heavier than it ever did in training. Sweat slicks your palms inside the grip of your weapon. Your heart hammers so hard you fear the crowd can hear it. Around you, other gladiators steel themselves. Some are calm, their eyes focused, their bodice steady. Others shake, their faces pale, lips whispering prayers to strange gods. The horn sounds. The first match begins not yours, not yet. You are made to stand, to watch, to learn. Two men stride forward into the open. One, broad-shouldered, wears the crested helmet and heavy shield of a murmillo. The other, slimmer, wields the curved sword of a Thracian. They salute the editor, raising their weapons high. A ritual gesture, not always the famous Avenue Caesar, Moriture te salutem. That line is rare, not spoken at every game. But still, the gesture is one of respect, or perhaps irony, men acknowledging that they march willingly into death. The crowd hushes. For a moment, silence weighs heavy. Then the clash begins. Steel strikes steel. The Murmillo drives forward with brute strength, his shield a wall, his sword jabbing like a spear. The Thracian dances back, his lighter frame weaving in and out, his curved blade slicing at angles meant to slip past the shield's edge. The sound of combat fills the air grunts, the scrape of metal, the dull thud of shield against flesh. Blood spatters across the sand. The Murmillo takes a cut to his thigh. The crowd roars in delight, but he does not falter. With a sudden surge, he slams his shield into the Thracian's chest, knocking him backward. The smaller man falls. The Murmillo raises his sword for the final strike. But he pauses. He waits. All eyes turn upward, to the crowd, to the editor. The moment has come. The fate of the fallen rests not in the victor's hands, but in those of the spectators. The Thracian raises his finger, pleading for mercy. The audience erupts in debate. Some cry, "Mit! Spare him." Others shout, "Jugula! Kill him!" The editor raises his hand, signaling the final decision. A downward gesture. Death. The Murmillo plunges his sword into the man's throat. The sand drinks deep. The crowd roars approval, their bloodlust satisfied. The corpse is dragged away, leaving a crimson trail across the arena floor. You watch in horror, your stomach churning, bile rising in your throat. Training prepared you for combat, for pain, for exhaustion, but nothing could prepare you for this, the sight of a man begging for his life, and the cold indifference of the crowd as it is taken from him. And then your name is called. Your legs nearly buckle as you step forward. The gate closes behind you, sealing off any escape. You are alone now, surrounded by thousands. The sand shifts beneath your sandals, soft and treacherous. Your opponent waits across the arena. He is taller, stronger, scarred from past battles. His helmet gleams in the sun, his weapon steady in his grasp. You can see at once, this is no novice. He has fought before, he has survived. And now, he intends to survive again at your expense. The crowd cheers louder, sensing the uneven match. They crave the drama of it, the green youth against the hardened veteran, a spectacle of desperation. The horn sounds again, your heart leaps into your throat, your body tenses. Training surges back into your muscles, every stance, every drill, every lash that carved obedience into your skin. You grip your weapon tighter, step forward, shield raised. The veteran wastes no time. He charges, swinging hard, the weight of his strike nearly knocking you off balance. The force rattles your bones, makes your arms ache. You stagger back, but you do not fall. Instinct drives you to block, to counter, to survive. The clash is fast, brutal. Each strike he throws is heavier than the last. Each block you manage weaker than before. Your breath comes ragged, your vision blurred with sweat. You are losing, but desperation breeds cunning. As he raises his sword for another crushing blow, you faint, shifting to the side. His strike misses by inches, crashing into the sand. You slash at his arm, drawing blood. It is shallow, but it is something. The crowd erupts, thrilled by the twist. The veteran snarls, enraged. His eyes burn behind the visor of his helmet. He charges again, reckless this time. You barely manage to raise your shield, the impact driving you backward. Pain shoots through your shoulder. You realize you cannot outmatch him in strength, but perhaps you can endure. You circle him, forcing him to chase, forcing him to waste energy. The crowd boos, some jeering at your cowardice, others laughing at the dance. You grit your teeth, ignoring them. Survival is all that matters. Minutes pass like hours. Sweat drenches your body, blood trickles down your arm where his blade grazed you. Still you stand, still you fight. The veteran's breaths grow heavier, his movements slower. You see at the opening, small but real. You strike, not with strength, but with precision. Your blade finds the gap beneath his arm, slipping past shield and armor. He gasps, staggers, collapses. Silence falls for a moment. Then the crowd erupts in chaos. You stand trembling, chest heaving, weapon slick with blood. The veteran lies at your feet, still alive, eyes pleading. And now the choice is not yours, it belongs to the crowd. All around they raise their voices, some demand mercy, others howl for blood. You look up at the editor. His hand hovers, ready to signal. The fate of your opponent hangs in the air. And for the first time, so does your own. The moment stretches like an eternity. The noise of the crowd becomes a storm, waves of sound crashing from all sides, indecipherable yet deafening. The veteran lies sprawled in the dust, blood seeping from the wound you dealt him. His chest rises and falls with desperate effort. His eyes, dark and wide beneath the shadow of his helmet, lock onto yours not with hatred, not with pride, but with something deeper, something universal, the fear of death. You are frozen, weapon trembling in your grasp. Every muscle in your body aches, every breath scorches your throat, but none of it matters now. You are not in control. The crowd is. Their verdict is law. The editor merely raises his hand to give it shape. The shouts mix into two primal words. Mit! Release him. Ugula! Slit his throat. Mercy or death. Life or spectacle. The editor rises slowly, basking in the attention. His hand hovers, savoring the suspense, letting the crowd howl in a frenzy of bloodlust and pity. And then with a sudden, deliberate motion, his thumb jerks downward. Death. A roar surges through the amphitheater, shaking the stone walls. The decision has been made. The veteran's fate is sealed. Your stomach twists. The weapon in your hand feels unbearably heavy. You step closer, the sand sinking beneath your feet. He watches you approach, his lips forming words you cannot hear. A prayer, perhaps, to a god who will not answer? The final strike is clumsy, almost reluctant, but it is enough. The blade plunges, the body stiffens, then slackens. Blood spreads across the sand in a widening stain. The crowd erupts in thunderous applause, not for the fallen man, but for you, the novice who drew first blood in the arena, the slave who became a killer. You stand in silence, your chest heaving, your mind numb. The corpse is dragged away, leaving behind only crimson memories. A part of you wishes the sand could swallow you whole. But instead, you are led back through the gates, back into the shadows of the tunnels. Inside, the world is quieter. The roar of the crowd fades, replaced by the dripping of water, the shuffle of feet, the murmurs of slaves. The iron taste of blood lingers in your mouth. The faces around you blur, some nodding in acknowledgement, others watching with indifference. For them, this is routine. For you, it is the beginning. Your trainer meets you at the entrance. His eyes, hardened by years of the same, study you with a mix of approval and warning. He says little words are wasted here, but the message is clear. You survived. That alone is victory. In the days that follow, whispers spread through the school. You are no longer merely a nameless slave. You are the one who defeated a veteran in his first match. Some look at you with respect, others with envy, a few with fear. The hierarchy of the ludus shifts subtly, and you begin to feel its weight. But glory in the arena is never simple. For every cheer, there is also suspicion. A fellow gladiator may greet you with a nod one moment and plot against you the next. The cells are filled with men who dream of freedom, but also with men who know the only way to climb higher is to see others fall. And then there are the patrons. Word of your victory travels beyond the walls of the arena. To the wealthy, gladiators are not just fighters, they are investments, objects of fascination, even objects of desire. You are paraded before visitors, your body inspected like fine cattle. Some admire your strength, others mock your scars. To them, you are not human, you are entertainment made flesh. Yet there is power, however small, in the attention. A wealthy matron's favor may grant better food, better treatment. A senator's interest may secure you more prominent matches, where survival means not just life, but fame. And fame in Rome is a currency of its own. But with fame comes danger. The next match will not be against another novice. Rome delights in testing its gladiators, pitting them against stronger, more seasoned foes. The crowd loves an underdog story, but it loves blood more. Training resumes harsher than before. Your body, though bruised and scarred, begins to adapt. The wooden sword feels less clumsy, your steps more certain. Pain becomes familiar, almost routine. Hunger sharpens you, thirst drives you. You are no longer the farmer, the soldier, or the debtor you once were. You are becoming what Rome demands, a gladiator. At night, lying on straw, you dream of freedom. Not of escape, that thought is folly, punished by crucifixion, but of the wooden sword, the rudis, the symbol of manumission granted to gladiators who win enough glory to earn release. Rare? Yes. Nearly impossible? Perhaps? But not beyond imagination. Somewhere deep in your mind, you cling to it, fragile though it is. The days blend together. The clang of metal, the lash of the whip, the bark of orders. And always in the distance, the memory of the crowd's roar. It becomes a sound you cannot escape, even in silence. A sound that haunts you, but also drives you. Then, one evening, as the sun sinks low and the training yard glows red with dust and firelight, an older gladiator approaches you. His body is marked by scars, his face lined with years of survival. He leans close and whispers words meant for you alone. Do not think the crowd loves you. They love only the show. Today they cheer. Tomorrow they will cheer for your death. Learn this, and maybe, just maybe, you will last longer than most. You stare at him, the weight of his warning pressing into your chest. For the first time, you realize the truth. In Rome, the life of a gladiator is not about victory. It is about survival, moment by moment, match by match. You are not climbing toward freedom. You are running from death. The arena will call you again soon. And next time, the choice may not be the crowd's, it may be yours. The days after your first victory stretch into a blur of aches, bruises, and whispers. You are no longer a faceless slave among hundreds who have spilled blood in the arena, and the others know it. The air inside the ludus feels heavier now, charged with unspoken rivalries. Every glance from your fellow gladiators carries weight. Envy, respect, suspicion, even hatred. In the Lanista's eyes, you are worth more than you were yesterday. A novice who survives his first fight is no longer just a gamble. He is an asset, a potential source of profit. Your rations improve, if only slightly. A thicker slice of bread, a bit more meat, wine watered down less than usual. You notice it immediately, and so do the others. It is a dangerous thing to be favored. At night, in the dim light of oil lamps, men mutter in their cells. Some praise your skill, others scoff that luck saved you. You hear them through the bars, their words seeping into the silence like poison. One voice carries sharper than the rest a Gaul, massive, scarred, with a gaze that follows you too closely. He fought in the arena long before you arrived, and he has survived more than once. To him, your victory means nothing. To him, you are an upstart who has stolen a sliver of attention that should belong to him. He does not speak to you directly, but he does not need to. The promise is in his stare. One day, you and he will meet, and when that day comes, he will crush you. The doctors, the trainers pay the tension no mind. Rivalries are natural, even encouraged. Hatred sharpens blades, and Rome loves nothing more than enemies forced to fight under its watchful eye. Training grows harsher. Wooden swords give way to dulled steel, and the exercises no longer stop at bruises. Blood is spilled in practice, though never to kill. The lash falls often, keeping the men on edge, reminding them that the only mercy here is in death, and even that is not freely given. The Gaul his name whispered as Brennus always finds his way to your sparring circle. He tests you with crushing blows, his strikes heavy as hammers. The doctor watches closely, but rarely intervenes. It is as though the whole school waits for one of you to snap. Outside the yard, life in the ludus continues with its strange rhythms. The physician treats wounds with vinegar and herbs, his hands steady as he stitches gashes. The cook stirs pots of barley and beans, ladling thick porridge into bowls. The guards drink watered wine, their laughter echoing off stone walls. And always, above it all, the lanista counts coin, negotiates contracts, arranges matches. To him, each man is a wager. Some will bring fortune, others ruin. He bets on who lives and who dies, but never foolishly. He has long since learned to read men like scrolls. You think often of the veteran whose throat you slit. His face returns in dreams, his eyes pleading, the silence of his death more deafening than the roar of the crowd. You try to push him from your mind, but he lingers, a ghost in the corners of your cell. Perhaps he always will. The second summons to the arena comes sooner than you expect. Word spreads through the school before the guards even announce it. A new festival has been declared, sponsored by a wealthy merchant seeking the favor of Rome's people. He has purchased a series of matches, and your name is on the list. This time the arena will not be so merciful. You will not face a wary veteran brought low by chance. You will fight another survivor, someone the crowd already knows. And worse, you learn that your opponent is none other than Brennus. The news spreads like fire. Men whisper in the corridors, wagers are made among the guards, and even the trainers share knowing looks. The day is set, the stage prepared, the upstart novice against the scarred veteran, hatred forged in the yard brought to its climax in the sand. The days before the fight crawl like years. Brennus stalks you with his eyes, his lips curled in a half-smile that promises agony. He spars with savagery, slamming his wooden sword into others with a force that cracks ribs. You know he is preparing, not for them, but for you. At night, you cannot sleep. The straw beneath you itches, the air in the cell feels heavy, suffocating. You stare into the darkness and wonder, is this the end? Did fate carry you this far only to drop you now, beneath the blade of a Gaul who has nothing to lose? And yet, beneath the fear, something else stirs. Not pride, not hope, but something more dangerous. Determination. You survived once. You can survive again. The thought digs its claws into your mind, refusing to let go. The day arrives. The gates creak open and the blinding sun floods the tunnel. The sound of the crowd rises, louder than before, eager for blood. You step onto the sand, your weapon heavy in your grip, your armor tight against your skin. Across the arena, Brennus emerges. His massive frame towers above the others, scars crisscrossing his arms and chest. He lifts his sword and shield with ease, as though they are feathers. The crowd roars at the sight of him, chanting his name, reveling in the prospect of slaughter. You lock eyes across the expanse of sand. For a heartbeat, silence seems to fall, broken only by the pounding of your heart. You know, with absolute certainty that one of you will not leave this place alive. The horn sounds. Brennus charges. The horn echoes across the amphitheater, and the Gaul comes at you like a storm loosed from the hills. Brennus is a mountain of muscle, his shield raised, his sword arcing down in a savage blow that crashes against yours with the force of thunder. The impact rattles your bones, sending shock through your arms. You stagger, barely holding your footing in the treacherous sand. The crowd erupts. They love him, his strength, his fury, his promise of destruction. You are the underdog, the lamb led to slaughter. Every cheer for him is a reminder of your own fragility. But Brennus is not invincible. You remember the doctor's endless drills. Do not meet strength with strength. Bend, deflect, survive. He swings again, and you duck beneath it, the blade slicing the air where your skull had been a heartbeat before. You dart to the side, your shield raised, thrusting your sword in a quick jab. It scrapes across his armor, shallow, barely drawing blood, but enough to sting his pride. He snarls, eyes narrowing behind his helmet. The fight is not just between you and him, it is between you and the crowd. They demand spectacle. They want blood, drama, the clash of titans. Every move you make must balance survival with performance. To cower will mean jeers. To stall will mean scorn, and scorn leads the editor to tilt his hand against you. Brennus knows this. He fights not just to kill, but to entertain. He slams his shield into yours, sending you sprawling into the sand. The audience roars with delight. You scramble up, spitting grit, your chest heaving. Already your body aches from the punishment. He raises his sword high, preparing the killing strike. Instinct takes over. You roll, the blade plunging into the sand inches from your ribs. You slash out wildly, your blade catching his calf. A line of red opens across his leg. He grunts, more in annoyance than pain, but the crowd gasps. The underdog has struck. Adrenaline surges. You circle, keeping distance, forcing him to chase. His heavier body tires faster, every swing of his sword consuming more of his strength. You feint left, dart right, jabbing again. Each cut is small, but they add up. He is bleeding now, his breaths harsher, his movements slower. The crowd begins to shift. Some cheer his power, others now chant for you. The spectacle grows. The editor leans forward, intrigued. You are no longer just prey, you are part of the show. But Brennus is far from beaten. With a roar, he hurls himself at you, abandoning all defense. His sword slashes wild arcs, his shield smashing like a ram. One blow catches your shoulder, and pain explodes down your arm. You cry out, stumbling, vision swimming. The sand beneath you darkens with your own blood. He looms over you, massive and merciless. The crowd rises to its feet, sensing the end. You are cornered, your shield shattered, your strength nearly gone. And yet, there it is, the opening. In his fury, Brennus has left his chest unguarded, his stance too wide. The gap is small, fleeting, but it is there. You thrust. The blade drives beneath his ribs into soft flesh. His eyes widen, shock flashing across his scarred face. He stumbles, dropping his sword, clutching at the wound. The crowd gasps, then erupts in chaos, some cheering, some screaming, all ravenous for the climax. Brennus falls to his knees, blood dripping into the sand. He looks up at you, not with hatred now, but with grim acknowledgement. You have done what few thought possible. You have bested him, and once again, the fate is not yours to decide. He raises his hand, the silent plea for mercy. His chest heaves, blood bubbling at his lips. The crowd explodes in debate, half demanding "Mit," half crying "Ugula." Their voices thunder through the amphitheater, a storm of judgment. You look to the editor. He rises slowly, savoring the suspense. His hand hovers in the air. The lives of gladiators are not their own. They are theater, and theater needs an ending. At last, the editor's thumb tilts sideways. Mercy, a collective groan of disappointment ripples through the bloodthirsty crowd, but others cheer the rare reprieve. Venice collapses forward, his body dragged away by attendants. He will live, though his pride is broken. And you against all odds stand victorious. The amphitheater shakes with noise. Some cheer your cunning, others boo your survival, but all eyes are on you. You raise your weapon high, not in triumph, but because you must. The crowd demands acknowledgement. To defy them is to invite death. The gates open and you stagger back into the tunnels, your body a map of pain. The physician is waiting, his hands rough but steady as he pours vinegar into your wounds. You grit your teeth as the liquid burns like fire. He stitches your flesh with practiced swiftness, his face unreadable. To him, you are just another body to mend or to fail. That night, lying on the straw of your cell, you cannot sleep. Every muscle screams, every breath aches. And yet your mind will not rest. The roar of the crowd echoes still, louder than the pain. It rings in your skull, a reminder of what you have become. You have defeated a rival. You have tasted survival not once, but twice. The others now look at you differently, some with respect, some with envy, some with fear. You are no longer just a man in chains. You are a gladiator. But deep down, you know the truth. Each victory brings you closer to fame, yes, but also closer to death. Rome does not love gladiators, it loves their blood. And the arena will call again. The day of the first real fight arrives, and the air feels heavy. The ludus gates groan open, sunlight flooding into the dark tunnel. You march forward, the roar of thousands striking like a thunderclap. The Colosseum is a monster, swallowing men and spitting out legends. Every seat is filled, senators in their togas, merchants flashing jewelry, slaves packed in the highest tiers. Above them all, the emperor reclines beneath a canopy, his hand resting lazily on the fate of men like you. The sand beneath your feet is warm, already stained with blood from those who fought before. You glance down and see dark patches where men fell yesterday, reminders of how fleeting life can be. Beside you, your fellow gladiators grip their weapons, some muttering prayers to Mars or to the gods of their homelands, others whispering names of wives, children, or forgotten villages. The air reeks of sweat, dust, and fear. The crowd roars louder when the announcer raises his hand. The games will begin. Across the arena, a heavy gate rattles open and out steps your opponent. He is another slave like you, trained as a murmillo. His helmet crested with a fin, his shield broad and his gladius gleaming. You see his chest rise and fall, fast and uneven. He does not want this any more than you do. But the arena does not care for choice. The first clash comes quickly. Shield against shield, sword against sword, the sound like iron tearing the air. The crowd howls at every strike, every stumble. You taste sand as you fall, scramble up and thrust again. The fight is brutal, unpolished, but desperate. You are not just fighting for victory, you are fighting for survival. A blow cuts across your arm, blood flowing, the pain sears, but you grip your weapon tighter. The murmillo lunges again and instinct drives you forward. Your blade finds its mark. He collapses to the sand, clutching his side, blood soaking into the ground. The crowd erupts in frenzy, demanding their say in his fate. You look to the emperor. A single gesture will decide everything. The murmillo raises his hand, begging for mercy. The crowd roars split, some screaming for death, others for pity. Your chest heaves, sweat running into your eyes, your weapon heavy with blood. Then you see it, the emperor's hand, slowly turning his thumb sideways. Mercy, the murmillo is dragged away to the healers, alive for another day. You, however, stand in the center, victorious, as the crowd chants your name. You feel a rush of triumph, unlike anything before, yet deep down you know it is poisoned. This is no true victory. You are still a slave, still bound by chains of blood. Today you lived. Tomorrow may not be the same. When you return to the ludus, the other gladiators clap your back, some with genuine pride, others with envy. Your master is pleased, perhaps enough to grant you better food, maybe a small privilege. But you cannot forget the face of the man you struck down, nor the thousands who screamed for his death. In this world, life is fragile, tossed about like a game piece on a board. the price of survival is blood, and every drop spilled in the arena binds you tighter to its sands. The gates creak open, and you are led into the heart of the ludus gladiatorius, the gladiator school. The air is thick with dust, sweat, and the metallic tang of blood. This is not a classroom of books and scrolls. This is a place where survival is hammered into muscle, bone, and nerve. The Romans called it disciplina, but to you, it feels more like breaking and remaking the body until it belongs to them. At first glance, it looks like a military camp. Rows of sand-covered arenas, wooden dummies for practice, racks of weapon swords dulled with use, wooden shields scarred from repeated blows. Everywhere men are shouting, grunting, and clashing. Some are prisoners like you. Others volunteered, hoping for wealth or fame. The volunteers are called octorati, poor men desperate enough to sell themselves into this life for the hope of coin. You resent them, though part of you wonders if they are braver or more foolish than you. The trainers, grim veterans of the arena, are merciless. They are called doctors. Some are old gladiators, men who lived long enough to escape the sands of death, though their scarred faces and missing limbs are proof of the price. They drill you in stance, in balance, in the art of holding your weapon. You are taught that hesitation is death, that fear must be crushed, that your body must obey without thought. Every mistake is punished. Every weakness is exploited. The whip cracks as often as the sword, but there is structure in the madness. You are assigned to a class, a type of fighter. Some are made to be murmillos with heavy armor and broad shields. Others become retieri, armed with nets and tridents, fast and agile but vulnerable. The secutors train to hunt the net fighters, while the thresses wield curved blades designed to slice through armor. The Romans treat it like a game of balance, a deadly chess match where each fighter is designed to counter another. You are not just a man, now you are a piece on their bloody board. The first weeks are agony. The leather straps cut your wrists, the shield bruises your arm, the helmet blinds you with sweat. You collapse often, only to be kicked back onto your feet. The old gladiators say it is normal. They laugh at your weakness, reminding you that soon it will not be practice dummies you face, but men trying to kill you for real. And yet something changes. Your body begins to adapt. The blisters harden into calluses. The shield grows lighter. The movements, once clumsy, become instinctive. You learn when to lunge, when to feint, when to conserve your strength. The doctors are harsh, but they recognize effort. When you survive a grueling session without falling, one of them nods. It feels like the first flicker of respect you have been granted since your capture. But alongside the training, there is something else: fear. You hear whispers of the damnati, men condemned to die, who will never leave the arena alive. Some are criminals, others political enemies, others simply unlucky. They will be sent out not as gladiators, but as spectacle-chained, naked, torn apart by wild beasts for the amusement of the crowd. And you wonder, will that be you? At night, when you collapse on the hard cot, your mind drifts to the Colosseum, the great amphitheater where thousands will scream for your blood. You have never seen it, but you can imagine it, towering high above the city, its arches packed with Romans eager for slaughter. You cannot shake the thought. No matter how well you train, no matter how strong you become, you are only one mistake away from being nothing more than a forgotten corpse in the sand. The trainers shout again. Tomorrow you will spar against another trainee, not a wooden dummy. Tomorrow you will bleed for the first time, not in punishment, but in combat. And with that, the reality of your new life sinks in. You are no longer a man with a future of your own choosing. You are a gladiator slave, forged into a weapon, honed for their entertainment. But deep inside, a spark lingers defiance. They may own your body, they may train your hands, but your soul, you tell yourself, is still yours. For now. The day of the games began long before the sun rose. You were awakened not by the soft light of dawn, but by the sharp clang of iron striking against the stone doors of the barracks. The Lanista's men shouted commands, their voices echoing down the narrow halls, dragging every half-sleeping gladiator into reality. For you, there was no chance of pretending to rest, no chance to escape into dreams. The day you had trained for and feared was finally here. The barracks were alive with sound, the rattle of chains removed from doors, the hiss of oil being poured into bowls to prepare bodies for combat, the gruff laughter of veterans who had seen this day countless times before. For some, it was routine. For others, it was the last morning of their lives. Before you could even think of food or water, your body was prepared. Slaves smeared oil across your skin, making it glisten in the torchlight. This was not just to loosen your muscles, but also to make your body look magnificent, for the crowd expected a spectacle. Your scars, your sweat, even your very breath, all of it was part of the entertainment. To the Romans, you were not a man, but a living display of strength and suffering. The veteran gladiator beside you muttered quietly, almost as if to himself, "The crowd loves a good death." His words echoed in your mind. Was this your day to provide one? A meal was brought in, though it was not the grand feast outsiders often imagined. Bread, beans, perhaps some barley porridge and watered-down wine. Enough to give you strength, not enough to slow you down.
Eating was mechanical, your hand moving to your mouth, while your eyes stayed locked on the floor, silently praying to gods you were not even sure were listening.
Then came the arming. Each gladiator was handed the tools of their trade. For you, it was the short, double-edged gladius, paired with a small rectangular shield. Others were given tridents, nets, heavy helmets, or curved blades. You could see the mixture of fear and grim acceptance in every face around you. Some kissed their weapons like old friends. Others stared at them as if they were death itself. The doctor barked orders, reminding you of the drills, the strikes, the stances you had practiced until your muscles moved without thought. But his words were drowned by the sound of drums outside the barracks. The games were beginning. The city had gathered. Tens of thousands of eyes waited for you. Then the gates opened. Blinding sunlight flooded in, forcing your eyes to squint as you stepped out into the arena. The roar of the crowd struck you like a wave, loud enough to shake the ground. Men cheered, women screamed, children clapped, and nobles in their fine garments leaned forward eagerly. To them, your suffering was entertainment, your fear was a story, your blood was the price of their pleasure. The air smelled of dust, sweat, and iron. The sand beneath your feet was soft, yet you knew it had been stained countless times before with the lives of men just like you. You were led in a procession, one among many, and forced to stand in a line before the governor of the city who presided over the games on behalf of Rome. You raised your weapon in salute, and in one voice the gladiators called out the words that had been spoken for generations. Avenue, Imperator, morituri te salutant. Hail, Emperor, those who are about to die salute you. Even if the emperor himself was not present, the ritual could not be broken. Those words bound you to fate. The crowd erupted. Some shouted your name if they knew it. Others placed wagers on your chances. You were no longer a man. You were a bet, a spectacle, a fleeting story in the dust. Then came the moment of truth. The editor of the games, the one who financed this bloody festival, raised his hand, signaling the beginning. Trumpets blared, echoing across the stone walls. The gates on the opposite side of the arena creaked open. Out came your first opponent. The world narrowed. You no longer saw the crowd, nor the governor, nor even the sun blazing above. There was only you, your weapon, and the man who stood across the sand. Your breath quickened. Your heart hammered. And in that instant you realized the truth. Survival was not just about skill, but about being willing to take everything you had learned, everything you had suffered, and unleash it without hesitation, because hesitation meant death. And with a cry that rose above the roar of the crowd, the fight began. The roar of the crowd hits you like a wall. Today is the day you've been waiting for, your first appearance in the great arena. You step into the gladiatorial barracks at dawn, heart pounding, body trembling from the anticipation of what's to come. The lanista has prepared you and the others for weeks, but nothing can truly ready you for this moment. You are about to face thousands of screaming Romans, all thirsty for the spectacle of blood. The sun rises over the Colosseum, its rays spilling across the stone, lighting it up like a temple to violence. From the outside, the arena looks like a marvel of human achievement, towering over the city with arches and columns that proclaim Rome's grandeur. But from where you stand, Just behind the gates, it feels like a monster, its belly hungry to swallow you whole. The murmur of the audience builds into a thunderous chant. Children sit on their father's shoulders. Women carry baskets of fruit to hurl at fighters they despise. Senators in fine robes recline in shaded seats, sipping wine, their eyes glued to the spectacle below. And above all, the emperor himself watches, seated upon his gilded throne, the master of life and death. You're shoved forward by a guard, the gates grown open. The light blinds you as you step into the arena for the first time. The sand beneath your feet is hot, sprinkled with chalk to absorb blood. Around you, the Colosseum stretches upward in tiers, filled with as many as 50,000 spectators. Their cries mix into a deafening roar, a tide of voices demanding violence. Other gladiators emerge, each dressed according to their type. A Murmillo clutches a heavy rectangular shield and gladius. A Retiarius, with net and trident, swaggers across the sand. A Threx twirls his curved sword, helmet plumed like a serpent. Each fighter embodies a style of war borrowed from Rome's conquered enemies, a reminder that even in death, Rome displays its dominance. You grip your weapon-sweaty palms, trembling fingers, you can hardly breathe. The reality of your situation weighs heavy. This isn't training anymore. There's no instructor to call for mercy. This is the true test, and only blood will satisfy the mob. The trumpets blare, the games begin. First, the bestiary enter hunters armed with spears who fight wild beasts released from cages. Lions, bears, and panthers prowl the arena, imported from Africa and the East to showcase Rome's mastery of the known world. You watch as one man is mauled, his screams drowned by the audience's cheers. Another manages to pierce a lion's heart, earning thunderous applause. Blood soaks into the sand, turning it a darker shade of red. Then the executions. Criminals, rebels, and deserters are dragged into the arena. Some are tied to stakes, left for wild beasts. Others are forced to fight without weapons, mere fodder for spectacle. It is a grotesque warm-up act, designed to whet the crowd's appetite for the true entertainment gladiator versus gladiator. Finally, your name is called. The lanista pushes you forward and you step into the center of the arena. Across from you stands your opponent. He is taller, broader, his muscles glistening with sweat and oil. He glares at you through the slits of his helmet, weapon at the ready. You realize this is no stranger. He is another slave, another man stolen from his homeland, another life thrown into the pit of the Colosseum. But in this moment, he is your enemy. The referee signals. The crowd hushes for a heartbeat, the silence heavy. Then, with the blare of horns, the fight begins. Your opponent charges, shield raised. You barely parry his strike. The clash of steel echoes through the arena. Each movement feels slower and heavier than in training. The sand shifts beneath your feet. The sun scorches your back. Sweat blinds your eyes. And all the while, tens of thousands scream for blood. He swings again. You stumble, barely managing to block. The force rattles your bones. The audience jeers, sensing your weakness. Then an opportunity. He overextends and you slash across his side, your blade drawing blood. The crowd erupts, a wave of sound that shakes your soul. For a fleeting moment, you feel power. You, a slave, control the attention of the entire Roman Empire. But victory is far from certain. He regains balance, rage fueling his strikes. You're forced back, your breath ragged, your limbs heavy. You can hear your heartbeat in your ears. Each clash drains your strength. You wonder, is this how it ends? Will you die nameless, your blood joining the countless others who painted this sand red before you? At last, with a desperate surge, you knock his weapon aside and drive him to his knees. The Colosseum explodes in frenzy. Dust swirls around you, sunlight burning down, the faces of thousands staring at this single moment. You stand over him, weapon raised. But now comes the most chilling part. The emperor rises, raising his hand. The crowd chants, some crying for mercy, others for death. Your opponent's life hangs in the balance, not in your hands, but in the whim of the mob and the ruler above them. The emperor pauses, savoring the moment. Then, with a gesture, he delivers his verdict. And just like that, you realize the truth. You are not the master of your fate. You are a slave in chains, a pawn in Rome's theater of blood. Whether you live or die depends not on your strength or courage, but on the spectacle you provide. The crowd roars its approval, the games continue, and the sand drinks more blood. Would you live to fight another day, or would the Colosseum claim you here, your body left to be dragged away like so many before you? That decision, chillingly, was never truly yours. Even after months, or perhaps years inside the ludus gladiatorius, the cycle of brutality never ceases. You wake before the sun, the cold stone beneath your bare feet biting at your solace. The first sound that greets you is the harsh clang of the iron gates opening, followed by the guttural shouts of the Lannista's men. The corridors echo with commands, the metallic scrape of weapons being prepared, the hurried footsteps of men still half asleep but already caught in the machine of training. You are thrust into a rhythm that never pauses, a life measured in pain, repetition, and relentless survival. Breakfast is functional, not nourishing. Coarse black bread, barley porridge watered thin, and the occasional smear of salted cheese just enough to give your body energy without slowing it down. Every bite is taken with precision. There is no time to savor, no room for indulgence. Some days you are given wine, diluted and bitter, to strengthen the blood and ease the pain of muscles already screaming from yesterday's drills. You eat mechanically, eyes fixed on the ground, hands trembling from anticipation. The others around you eat in silence, though a few whisper brief prayers to Mars, Hercules, or whichever god they hope might spare them today. Training begins immediately. There is no gentle warm-up. You are thrust into a grueling regimen designed to break and rebuild the body in the image of a warrior. First, conditioning. Endless running in circles within the dusty yard, weighted stones tied to your arms and legs, forcing muscles to stretch and strain beyond comfort. You run until your lungs burn, your heart pounds like a drum in your chest, and every sinew trembles with exhaustion. You are pushed past hunger, fatigue, and fear until survival becomes instinct and pain becomes second nature. Then comes weapons practice, and the drills grow even more brutal. Wooden swords are abandoned. You are handed iron, blunted but still deadly. The gladius, short and double-edged, is heavy in your hands at first, unforgiving as it strikes and blocks. Shields are strapped to your arm, broad and unwieldy at first, until you learn to make them an extension of your body. You practice strikes, parries, thrusts, and blocks in sequences designed to mirror real combat. Sparring is intense, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes 2 or 3 opponents at once. You are forced to improvise, to think faster than your instincts, to react before fear has time to paralyze you. But survival is more than brute strength. The doctors, former gladiators themselves, watch your every movement. Their eyes are hawk-like, cold, calculating. They punish hesitation, reward initiative. If a man falters, the whip cracks across his back. If he hesitates in striking, his elbow is crushed against the wooden post. These punishments are not merely physical, they are psychological. They teach you that failure has consequences, that weakness invites death, and that your mind must be as disciplined as your body. You are trained not only to fight men but to face beasts. Lions, panthers, and bears are introduced to the yard, sometimes muzzled, sometimes restrained, to test your reactions. Even in captivity, their ferocity is terrifying. You learn to respect their speed, their cunning, and their hunger. You are drilled in evasion, in timing, in precision. The bestiary train you to survive in these exercises, preparing you for the moments when wild creatures may be unleashed in the arena to entertain the bloodthirsty crowd. The doctors also teach you performance. In Rome, a gladiator is not merely a fighter, but a living spectacle. You must learn to posture, to move with flair, to scream, to provoke, to inspire awe or terror. Every strike is choreographed to appear lethal, every maneuver measured for maximum dramatic effect. Even death, should it come, must be beautiful, courageous, memorable. The crowd will cheer for a man who dies with valor and horror, but boo one who falters in fear. You are forged into a performer as much as a killer. Despite all this, the mental toll is relentless. Sleep is shallow. Even when lying on the straw mats in the dim, crowded barracks, the echoes of the arena haunt you. You hear the imagined roar of the crowd, the clash of swords, the screams of men falling into the sand. You see the faces of those you have struck, the blood you have drawn. Fear and adrenaline mingle in your veins, leaving you restless, haunted. To survive, you must master not just the physical demands, but the unending tension of life or death anticipation. Victories bring temporary reprieve, but no guarantee. The lanista may grant you slightly better rations, a corner of the barracks to call your own, or the fleeting acknowledgement of the trainers. Other gladiators, meanwhile, may watch with envy, suspicion, or resentment. Rivalries simmer, some open, some hidden, and every glance or gesture may spark violence. The ludus is a microcosm of the arena itself, a battlefield where survival requires strength, cunning, and the careful management of alliances. Even outside combat, lessons continue. You are taught the subtle strategies of intimidation, the ways to read a man's body and eyes for weakness, the art of feigned retreat, and the timing of precise, deadly strikes. Every day is a test of endurance, every movement drilled until it becomes instinct. Pain is constant. Hunger, thirst, fatigue, and fear are your companions. And yet, in this ceaseless cycle, a hardened core emerges. You begin to see patterns, anticipate the instructor's punishments, exploit openings, and master maneuvers that once seemed impossible. Nightfall does not bring peace. The straw beneath your body is thin, your muscles ache. Your mind replays every lesson, every swing, every strike. You dream of the arena, of the thousands watching, of the moment your life could be demanded as spectacle. Yet even in these restless hours, a spark of defiance remains. The world may see you as a slave, a weapon, a performer for the amusement of Rome. But somewhere deep inside, your mind refuses to bow. You are learning, surviving, adapting. The arena waits for all of its gladiators. Every day of training, every cut, every bruise, every ounce of sweat and blood is preparing you for that moment. The fight is not only in the sand, it is here, in the ludus, in the pounding of your heart, in the sharpening of your mind. Survival is a lesson repeated over and over, brutal and unrelenting, but essential. You will endure, you will survive. And when the gates open, when the sun blinds you and the crowd roars, you will step forward not merely as a man, but as a gladiator, forged in pain. Honed by discipline and sharpened for the demands of Rome, the training never ends, but neither does the fire inside. And as long as that ember burns, there remains hope not for freedom, perhaps, but for survival, defiance, and the chance to carve a name into history, even in chains. The arena is never truly empty. Even when the gates are closed and the cheering of the crowd fades into distant memory, its shadow lingers in the barracks, in the narrow corridors of the ludus, in every brick and stone. You can feel it pressing against your back as you train, following your every move, whispering in the dark. The memory of sand underfoot, the scent of blood, the roar of thousands, it never leaves. Each night, when you lie on the straw mat, muscles screaming, your mind drifts back to the arena, reliving every clash, every cry, every instant when your life hung by a fragile thread. Life in the ludus is a constant repetition of pain and vigilance. You rise before dawn, often before the guards. The first sounds you hear are the low growls of dogs used to train the bestiary, the hunters, and the scrape of wooden swords across worn training dummies. Breakfast is functional, not nourishing. Coarse bread, watery porridge, and sometimes dried meat if you have been deemed worthy that day. There is no indulgence, no comfort. Every bite is measured to maintain strength without fat, to keep you lean, quick, and agile. After breakfast comes the drills. There is no gentle easing into training. You are thrown into combat scenarios that test the body to its limits. You spar against men far stronger than you, faster than you, often blindfolded or with one hand tied. The goal is not victory, but survival, learning to react instinctively to the unpredictable, to steel yourself against terror, pain, and exhaustion. Cuts and bruises are badges of honor. Broken ribs, split lips, and torn muscles are considered useful lessons. Blood is common, spilled freely in the sand, on the stone floors of the training yard, on the bodies of men who were yesterday your friends. Then there are the weapons. The gladius, heavy and sharp, becomes an extension of your arm. You are forced to learn its weight, its balance, the way it cuts through flesh and bone. Shields are not merely for protection, they are weapons in themselves, capable of bludgeoning, parrying, and crushing an opponent's bones. You also train with nets, tridents, daggers, and curved blades, each style designed to mimic enemies Rome once conquered. You practice for hours on end, your arms burning, your legs quivering, your lungs aching, and all the while, the trainers watch, their eyes hawk-like, ready to strike with the whip at the slightest sign of weakness. Beyond the physical training, there is the mental. You are taught to read your opponent, to predict movements, to exploit fear. The doctors emphasize performance, to move in ways the crowd will admire, to fight with flair, to make death a spectacle. You must learn to provoke cheers, to gasp, to strike fear and awe into the hearts of spectators even as you fight for your own life. The line between skill and theater is razor thin. One misstep, one hesitation, can mean your death or humiliation. But perhaps the most grueling part of the ludus is the psychological toll. You live in constant tension, aware that every moment might be your last, yet compelled to master control over fear itself. You see men break, their minds giving way before their bodies fail. They lash out at others, or they crumble, sobbing quietly on the straw. Their despair is a reminder to you. To survive is to be stronger than fear, to be faster than panic, to endure more than pain. Even victories bring their own burdens. Every fight you survive brings admiration, better rations, or fleeting privileges, but it also brings new enemies. Other gladiators watch, measuring your strength, plotting, envying. Rivalries fester in the shadows of the yard. A glance, a gesture, a slight misstep can ignite a fight that leaves one of you bloodied or dead. Brennus, the scarred veteran, remains a looming threat. Even after your victories, he watches from the corners of the yard, his eyes dark, waiting for a moment to reclaim pride with your life. Every step, every swing of the sword, every drop of sweat must be measured. You are not only training your body, but managing alliances, rivalries, and survival in a world where trust is a luxury few can afford. The nights are worse. Sleep is shallow, broken by nightmares of the arena, of men falling, of sand soaked with blood. Sometimes you dream of the emperor raising his hand, deciding between life and death. Other times you dream of faces you've struck, of the cries you've silenced, and of the blood that will stain your hands long after it has dried. The straw beneath you is hard, the air suffocating, and yet you lie there, muscles twitching, mind racing, wondering what tomorrow will demand of you. Yet, amid the brutality, there are fleeting moments of humanity. A fellow gladiator might whisper advice, share a portion of food, or nod in silent respect. A healer's touch, however brief, can remind you that even in the shadow of death, survival is possible. Small victories, learning a new maneuver, surviving a grueling drill, drawing blood without fatality become sources of hope. Each day endured is a testament to your strength, endurance, and cunning. In the arena, these lessons are tested in full. The sand becomes a theater of terror and glory. Each fight is a dance with death. You learn to exploit openings, anticipate attacks, and fight not just for yourself, but for the audience, for the lanista, and for the fragile hope of survival. And with each victory, the realization deepens. You are not merely a man in chains. You are a gladiator, forged in pain, sharpened by blood, and living as a weapon of Rome's will. Yet in every victory, every maneuver, every heartbeat echoing in the deafening roar of the crowd, a thought lingers. Freedom is a dream, survival is a choice, and death waits in the shadows, patient as ever. And so you train, you fight, you endure, knowing that tomorrow will demand everything, and perhaps more than you possess, but the arena never tires and Rome never sleeps. Life in the ludus is not just about survival, skill, and obedience. It is also a constant negotiation of trust, rivalry, and power. The arena may test your body, but the ludus tests your mind, your instincts, and your ability to navigate the delicate hierarchy among gladiators. Every glance, every word, every step carries weight. One misstep could be costly not just in the arena, but here, behind the walls. Some gladiators are seasoned veterans, scarred and hardened, the living proof of Rome's cruelty and endurance. They are respected and feared, their authority unspoken yet absolute. Their eyes are like hawks, calculating every movement, every gesture. One of them is Brennus, a Murmillo with a missing eye and a jagged scar running from his temple to his jaw. His reputation is legendary. He has survived more fights than anyone in the ludus, and the trainers still defer to him in certain matters. He watches you closely. You can feel it. He measures your strength, your confidence, your fear. A false move could earn a swipe of his blade, or worse, a calculated betrayal in front of the lanista. Other gladiators are younger, reckless, and desperate. They want glory, recognition, or the favor of the audience. Some plot in whispers to undermine rivals, waiting for an opportunity to rise above them. You quickly learn that alliances here are fragile, built as much on fear as respect. Friendship exists, but it is often conditional. To survive, you must observe, read gestures, and always anticipate betrayal. Training in the ludus is a crucible for both skill and politics. You spar not only to hone your swordsmanship, but to demonstrate dominance. Every parry, thrust, or feint is a message. If you show hesitation, if your guard wavers, someone will notice, and the momentary weakness can become a permanent disadvantage. Rivalries form quickly. A word of mockery, a shove during drills, even a glance can ignite conflict. But every fight is also a lesson. Survival depends on strength, wit, and the ability to intimidate without reckless violence. The lanista watches these dynamics carefully. He knows that gladiators who can assert dominance and maintain discipline are the ones who perform best in the arena. Those who crack under pressure, who falter in alliances or betrayals, are the ones most likely to die in the sands. You learn that life in the ludus is a series of mini-battles, not all fought with swords, but with wits, with posture, and with the careful calibration of trust and fear. Amid these rivalries, the older gladiators sometimes offer grudging mentorship. A veteran may pull you aside, correcting a stance, demonstrating a maneuver, or offering cryptic advice. The sand does not lie. Respect it, and it may spare you. At first, such guidance seems like charity, but you quickly realize it is a strategic decision on their part. They teach you only enough to survive, but never enough to outshine them. Knowledge is power, and every man is both student and competitor in this arena of shadows. Then there are the moments of unexpected camaraderie. Late at night, after hours of grueling drills, some of the younger gladiators sit together, sharing portions of bread or speaking quietly of home, family, or dreams that have long since been buried. These small acts of connection are dangerous but necessary. They remind you that even in a world designed to break you, fragments of humanity remain. Yet, even these friendships carry risk trust too much, and it can be used against you. Trust too little, and loneliness gnaws at your resolve. The mental strain grows heavier each day. The fear of death in the arena is constant, but the fear of betrayal within the ludus is subtler, more insidious. You must be strong in every sense, physically, mentally, and socially. Every sparring match is a test, every shared meal a calculation. The weight of survival extends beyond your own body. It encompasses every glance, every whisper, every relationship in this claustrophobic world. Despite the harshness, you notice subtle patterns. You learn which gladiators are reliable in drills, which ones harbor envy, and which ones might strike without warning. You begin to navigate the politics of the ludus with the same precision you apply to your sword. Every interaction, every decision is survival. And in this crucible, you forge not just muscles, reflexes, and endurance, but a sharpened mind capable of assessing threat and opportunity in equal measure. At night, lying on the straw mat, you replay the day's lessons. You remember Brenna's piercing gaze, the younger fighters' whispered rivalries, the subtle nods of respect or warning. You think about tomorrow, another day of running, sparring, drilling, and surviving. The arena waits, but so does the ludus. Both are teachers of the same brutal lesson. Life is earned through pain, vigilance, and strategy, and every advantage, no matter how small, can mean the difference between survival and death. You close your eyes, but sleep comes uneasily. The shadows of the arena creep into your dreams, intertwined with faces of rivals, friends, and foes alike. You dream of sand stained with blood, of steel striking steel, of the emperor's hand raised in judgment. And yet, amid the fear, a quiet determination grows. You will survive, you will learn, you will fight. And someday, perhaps, you will turn the lessons of the ludus into mastery of the arena, carving your own place in this brutal, unforgiving world. The training never ends, the rivalries never cease, and the shadow of death is ever present, but so is the spark of defiance. In this crucible, you are being forged not only into a gladiator, but into something sharper, stronger, and more cunning than Rome itself may ever expect. The day has arrived. For weeks you have trained, bled, sweated, and endured humiliation. But now all of that preparation has come to a single point: the day of the games. The sun is not even high when the arena bells ring, echoing across the city like a call to judgment. Crowds gather, flowing through the gates like a river of restless humanity. Men, women, and even children come, dressed in their finest robes, eager to watch the spectacle. For them it is entertainment. For you it is life or death. You are led from the barracks, chained together with other gladiators. The smell of the iron shackles, mixed with sweat and fear, clings to the air. Soldiers escort you, their armor gleaming in the morning light, their eyes cold. You look up and see the vast outer walls of the amphitheater rising before you like a mountain of stone. It feels impossible that one building could hold so many people. The noise grows louder as you approach, a low murmur of thousands waiting to be thrilled by your suffering. Inside, the atmosphere is overwhelming. You are kept in a dark tunnel beneath the stands, but you can hear the crowd above. The sound is like thunder rolling across the heavens. Every cheer, every jeer, every chant vibrates through the stone walls and into your chest. There is no escape. You are a part of the show now, a piece of living drama crafted to satisfy their thirst for blood and glory. The first part of the games is not for you. It is for others to soften the crowd's mood. Exotic beasts are released into the arena: lions from Africa, bears from the northern forests, leopards and wolves. They roar and claw, chasing terrified prisoners who have been condemned not to fight, but to die. You listen to their screams as the animals tear into them. The crowd erupts in excitement. To the people above, this is a feast for the eyes. To you, it is a reminder of what fate could await if you fall. The next event is a mock battle. Roman soldiers reenact great victories against foreign enemies. Wooden swords clash, shields crash, and the audience laughs when barbarian actors are cut down with exaggerated motions. It is a play, a reminder of Rome's power. But unlike you, these men will walk away alive. And then it is your turn. The gates creak open, flooding the tunnel with light. You are pushed forward, your bare feet touching the sand of the arena for the first time. The brightness blinds you, but soon your eyes adjust. The sight steals your breath. The amphitheater is enormous, filled with tens of thousands of spectators packed into tiers that rise into the sky. The emperor himself sits in his box, adorned in purple robes, his gaze fixed on the spectacle below. Senators recline in their seats, sipping wine, merchants shout bets. Children wave little wooden swords, pretending to be you. The sand beneath your feet is hot, stained with the blood of those who came before you. The air smells of dust, sweat, and iron. You hear the roar of the crowd rise like a storm as you and the other gladiators form a line. Some chant prayers to Jupiter or Mars, others remain silent, eyes closed, resigned to fate. The editor of the games, a wealthy sponsor, stands and announces you all. Each name is shouted to the masses, and with each announcement, the people cheer or boo depending on whether they favor your background, your origin, or your school. You are no longer just a man. You are a story, a character, a living piece of theater crafted for their amusement. When the introductions end, the signal is given. Trumpets blare. The first match begins. Two men step forward, armed with different weapons. One holds a gladius and shield, the other a trident and net. They circle each other, their movements sharp, calculated. The crowd roars at every feint, every strike. The clash of steel echoes through the arena. Sand sprays into the air as feet shuffle and stumble. One man is ensnared in the net, pulled down, and struck. The crowd explodes with cheers, demanding more blood. Your turn comes. You step forward, weapon in hand, heart pounding like a war drum in your chest. Your opponent stands across the sand, his eyes burning with the same mix of fear and determination. The two of you lock gazes, understanding that only one may leave this place alive. The referee drops his hand. The fight begins. Every movement feels sharper, faster, heavier than in training. The weight of the weapon, the sting of the sand, the deafening roar of the audience, it all crashes down on you at once. You strike, block, stumble, recover. The crowd screams with every close call, with every drop of blood spilled. You hear them chant, not your name, but your fate. Some cry out for your victory, others for your death. You fight not only for your life, but for the possibility of honor. If you impress them, if you bleed with bravery and stand with courage, you might earn more than survival. You might earn respect. In Rome, even a slave can become a legend if he entertains well enough. But legends are written in blood. And now, under the blazing sun, with tens of thousands of eyes fixed upon you, it is your blood they demand. The moment comes faster than you expect. Your opponent lunges, gladius flashing in the sunlight. You block instinctively, muscles trained to react before thought. The clash of steel rings across the arena, and for a heartbeat, time feels suspended. Every instinct honed in the ludus surges through you footwork, grip, breathing, awareness of the sand beneath your feet. The sun blinding your eyes, the sound of the crowd pressing down on your ears. He strikes again, more aggressively this time. You parry and sidestep, but the force of his blow drives you back a step, sand spraying into the air. A cheer rises from the audience, and you realize that their attention is a living, breathing force. Every movement, every misstep, every flicker of hesitation is magnified. The crowd does not care who you are. They care for the drama, the spectacle, the blood. You attack. Your sword finds a gap in his guard, a flash of opportunity that the hours of sparring had drilled into you. The steel bites into flesh. He staggers, surprised, and you follow through with precision. The gladius sinks again. He falls, sand splashing as he hits the ground. The crowd erupts, some scream in jubilation, others in shock, as if they cannot comprehend the suddenness of death. For a moment, time slows. His eyes meet yours, wide and filled with disbelief, fear, and a flash of pleading that reaches no one. Your hand trembles. The weight of what you've done crashes over you. The first kill, the first life taken in the arena. In training, it was simulations. Now it is flesh, blood, and finality, and yet survival demands action. The referee steps forward, holding his hand high. The crowd leans forward, all eyes on the emperor. He rises slowly, a silent judge weighing the fate of the fallen. The amphitheater falls almost silent, the tension so thick it chokes the air. Then, with a deliberate motion, he gestures with his thumb. A cheer explodes from the stands. The decision is mercy. Your opponent's life ends here, but technically, the choice rests not with you but with Rome. The other gladiators watch, some with admiration, some with envy. You step back, trembling, sweat and blood mingling on your skin. The arena is no longer merely a stage. It is a crucible that has tested not just your skill, but your humanity. In that instant, you understand the full cost of survival. Every victory carries the weight of life and death. Every success stains your conscience. Yet the crowd does not care for conscience. They care for spectacle. They cheer, wave, clap, and scream. Their excitement is intoxicating, terrifying. The lanista nods from the sidelines, satisfied. You are no longer a trainee. You are a performer, a tool of Roman entertainment. The first kill has cemented your status. You have entered the deadly dance of gladiators, where skill and fear intersect, where the sand beneath your feet becomes sacred and cursed in equal measure. After the fight, you are escorted back to the barracks, your hands still trembling. The others avoid your eyes, some whisper congratulations, others are silent, cautious. Tonight you will sleep on straw, muscles screaming, mind replaying the moment again and again. You will dream of the eyes of your fallen opponent, of the crowd's roar, of the emperor's judgment. And you will wake tomorrow because the arena does not rest and the training never ends. Survival is not a one-time victory. It is an unending series of battles, tests, and calculations. You are now fully aware that being a gladiator means more than wielding a sword. It means mastering fear, pain, and the relentless demands of Rome itself. The taste of blood is bitter and metallic, but it is also the taste of life earned through skill, cunning, and endurance. The first kill has marked you, not just on the body but on the soul. It is a grim reminder that in this world, mercy is rare, trust is fleeting, and death is only moments away. The next fight looms in your mind already. You know that the crowd, the lanista, and even your fellow gladiators will be watching for weakness. Every moment you survive today has bought you tomorrow, but tomorrow, the arena will demand more. You are a gladiator now, and the sand has claimed its first witness of your strength, and soon it will demand more. The aftermath of your first kill in the arena lingers long after the roar of the crowd fades. Back in the ludus, the barracks feel both smaller and heavier. The straw mats are unchanged, the cold stone walls unyielding, yet everything feels different. The other gladiators watch you now not just with curiosity, but with a mixture of respect, envy, and wariness. You have survived. You have killed. You have impressed the crowd. But in this world, admiration is often as dangerous as contempt. Brennus, the scarred veteran, eyes you from across the hall. His one good eye is calculating, sharp, as if trying to decipher not only your skill, but your mind. He does not approach, but his presence is felt like a shadow over your shoulder. Others whisper in corners, some quietly congratulating you, others questioning whether luck played a part in your victory. You realize quickly that the ludus is a kingdom of subtle politics. Every glance, every word, every small action is a measure of power. Friendships are fragile. Trust is a currency as rare as freedom. The lanista is pleased. He nods approvingly during drills, allows you a slightly better ration of food, and keeps a watchful eye during exercises. Your body is recovering from the first real fight, muscles sore, bruised, and raw from exertion. Yet the mental strain is heavier than any physical wound. You cannot ignore the crowd's influence either. The people of Rome have seen you fight. Some cheer your name, some jeer. They do not know you, but they judge you, and that judgment carries weight. Popularity in the arena can mean slightly easier conditions, a reprieve from the harshest drills, or even gifts of favor from influential sponsors. It can also paint a target on your back for rivals hungry for recognition. Night brings no comfort. As you lie on the straw mat, the events of the day replay endlessly in your mind. The fall of your opponent, the sudden silence before the emperor's thumb decided his fate. The roar of the crowd, these images are etched into your consciousness. You wonder if you will ever truly forget them, or if every future fight will carry the shadow of that first kill. Sleep is fitful, broken by dreams of the arena, flashes of sand, steel, and screams. You wake in the middle of the night, body twitching, haunted by the sounds and sights that will never leave you. Training resumes at dawn, relentless and unyielding. Sparring grows more intense as the trainers push you to refine your techniques. They pair you against stronger opponents, forcing you to anticipate attacks, to control fear, and to react with precision. You notice subtle changes in your fellow gladiators. Some avoid direct confrontation. Others try to provoke you, testing your temper or exploiting perceived weaknesses. Every movement, every feint, every swing is scrutinized. In this environment, mastery of combat is inseparable from mastery of perception and strategy. The more you survive, the more you stand out. Your skills are noticed not only by the trainers, but also by the administrators of the games, and eventually by members of the audience who observe your fights closely. Favor in Rome's eyes can be dangerous. Some gladiators resent it. Others seek to ally themselves with you. You learn quickly to navigate these relationships with care, measuring loyalty, envy, and ambition with the same precision as your swordsmanship. Even during moments of rest, tension persists. You train your mind as rigorously as your body, replaying scenarios, anticipating ambush in the arena, and imagining ways to improve. Every shadow in the hall, every sideways glance, every whisper could carry consequences. Rivalries are forming, alliances are tentative, and every action is an assessment of survival. You cannot afford complacency. The arena waits, and Rome expects a show of bravery, skill, and endurance. Yet, amidst the fear and suspicion, moments of camaraderie emerge. Some gladiators offer advice, subtle tips gleaned from years of experience. A shared ration of bread, a nod of respect, a whispered warning, these small gestures create fragile bonds. You accept them cautiously, aware that even kindness can be exploited. In this world, human connection is both a survival tactic and a potential vulnerability. The Emperor's gaze lingers too. Though distant, you sense that your performance has caught attention. The thought is intoxicating and terrifying. A single display of valor can elevate your status, but a single misstep can mark you for death or humiliation. The crowd's memory is fleeting, but the consequences of visibility are permanent. You learn to internalize their judgment, using it to sharpen your skills, to anticipate expectations, and to temper fear with resolve. Every night as you lie awake, you repeat a mantra silently: survive, endure, and adapt. The arena is no longer a distant place. It is part of your existence, and every moment spent in the ludus is preparation for the inevitability of combat. Your body grows stronger, your reflexes faster, your mind sharper, but the price is unrelenting. Every victory is a burden, every breath is a calculated gamble. Freedom is a distant dream. Survival is the immediate goal. In the shadows of fame, amidst suspicion and rivalry, you realize the truth of your existence as a gladiator. You are no longer just a man, nor merely a slave. You are a living instrument of Rome's appetite for blood, a creature forged in pain, discipline, and fear. The crowd may cheer, the lanista may nod, and your fellow gladiators may whisper admiration. But the ultimate judge remains the sand, the steel, and the unyielding expectations of survival. And so you prepare again and again for the next battle, knowing that every victory brings not only respect but also scrutiny, and that in the world of gladiators no one survives alone, not entirely. The day begins like any other, with the sun barely brushing the rooftops of Rome, yet you already feel the tension building deep in your chest. Today is different. Today you will face not a single opponent, but multiple gladiators at once, a test of skill, endurance, and cunning designed to entertain the masses and challenge even the most seasoned fighters. The barracks are unusually quiet as the lanista moves among the gladiators. His eyes cold, calculating, measuring who will survive this trial. Breakfast is taken in tense silence. Coarse bread, thin porridge, a piece of salted meat fuel for what the body is about to endure. You eat mechanically, muscles already tight with anticipation, mind racing through strategies, past sparring lessons, and imagined attacks. Your fellow gladiators shift nervously, some exchanging brief, wary glances. Alliances are fleeting, rivalries simmering beneath the surface. Every interaction is a calculation, every gesture a signal. You are learning, day by day, to read the unspoken rules of survival. Who is likely to strike first, who will hesitate, and who will exploit weakness without mercy. The walk to the arena is a march into inevitability. Chained together with other gladiators, you move through the tunnel beneath the grand amphitheater. The crowd's murmur grows louder, a living entity thrumming with expectation. You hear shouts, cheers, and the occasional scream, and the sound presses against your chest like a physical weight. The gates ahead are massive, carved of oak and reinforced with iron, and you know beyond them lies the sand where life and death are measured not by intention, but by skill, courage, and sometimes sheer luck. When the gates open, sunlight blinds you. The crowd explodes in sound, tens of thousands of voices merging into one deafening roar. You step onto the sand, feeling its heat and grit beneath your feet. This is no longer a training yard. This is the crucible. Across from you, the other gladiators move with the same mix of fear, pride, and anticipation. Some glance at you with challenge in their eyes. Others avoid contact entirely, knowing that even a fleeting distraction could mean death. The signal is given. Trumpets blare, and the fight begins. Your first opponent charges, gladius raised, shield angled defensively. You dodge and parry, feeling every strike reverberate through your arms. Sand sprays with every movement, and the roar of the crowd is a constant pressure, urging both you and your opponents to greater intensity. You move, pivot, strike, block. Every muscle is taut, every nerve alive. Another gladiator enters from the opposite side, flanking your position. Now the fight is no longer one-on-one. It is a chaotic, deadly dance. You pivot, block, and strike, aware that a single misstep could be fatal. Your mind runs calculations as fast as your sword moves. Which opponent is strongest, which strikes are predictable, where the openings are, how to conserve strength for the moments that truly matter. The crowd's excitement is palpable, pushing you forward and weighing you down at the same time. Steel clashes against steel, boots skid in the sand, and the metallic taste of blood, yours and theirs, fills the air. One man lunges too aggressively, leaving an opening. You strike, your gladius finding flesh. Another falls to your side, screaming, and the crowd erupts, some cheering, some gasping. It is both exhilarating and horrifying. The thrill of victory is immediate, but so is the awareness of mortality. Every kill, every wound, every narrow escape is a reminder. Survival is not granted. It is seized, moment by moment, swing by swing, breath by breath. Hours or what feels like hours pass in a blur. Muscles scream, lungs burn, sweat and sand mix with blood on your skin. The other gladiators fall one by one, and each time the crowd erupts in jubilation or horror. You feel a strange, cold detachment beginning to take root. To survive, to continue, you must separate fear from action. Death is everywhere, yet hesitation is fatal. The mental toll is immense, heavier than any physical strain. Your mind alternates between sharp focus and a numbing fog, and you realize that endurance is as much mental as it is physical. Finally, the battle ends. You stand, exhausted, bruised, and covered in the grime of combat. Around you lie the fallen, some breathing, some not. The referee steps forward, gesturing, and the emperor gives his judgment. Mercy is granted sparingly. Some lives are spared, others are not. You feel relief, but it is fleeting. Survival is temporary. The arena's demands are relentless. Back in the barracks, you collapse onto the straw, body trembling with exhaustion, heart pounding. The other gladiators avoid your eyes. Some nod in muted acknowledgement. Others stare silently, weighing their next move. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a contender, a force the trainers and spectators will watch closely. Every movement, every action, every glance is now under scrutiny. You have proven your skill, but the price has been high. Your body aches, your mind reels, and the knowledge of death's proximity has sunk deeper than ever before. Yet amidst the exhaustion and terror, there is a spark, a recognition of capability, of strength, of the ability to survive not just a fight, but the orchestrated chaos of multiple opponents, the unpredictable demands of the arena, and the relentless eyes of Rome. You have endured, and in doing so, you have carved a place for yourself. The arena has tested you, the crowd has judged you, and you have survived. But the games are far from over. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opponents, and new lessons in pain, strategy, and survival. You are learning that to be a gladiator is not merely to fight. It is to anticipate, to adapt, and to endure in a world where every day demands mastery of body, mind, and will. After surviving multiple opponents in the arena, your existence in the ludus shifts subtly but irrevocably. You are no longer just another trainee, another nameless face among the rows of men drilled for blood and spectacle. You are noticed by trainers, by fellow gladiators, and most perilously, by the crowd. Every movement, every swing of the gladius, every evasion has been recorded in the minds of thousands. Your reputation grows like a shadow, stretching across the sands of the arena and into the hearts of those who watch. Returning to the barracks, the change is palpable. Some gladiators regard you with muted respect, a recognition of skill honed under relentless pressure. Others avoid your gaze, whispers trailing in your wake. Rivalries intensify. Some see your growing fame as a threat to their own survival or status. Others plot, quietly and deliberately, ways to undermine you during sparring, in the middle of drills, or even in the arena itself. In this world, reputation is both a weapon and a target. The lanista, keenly aware of your rising notoriety, treats you with a mix of scrutiny and cautious encouragement. Favor from the lanista can mean better rations, more strategic sparring assignments, or subtle advantages in the next fight. Yet it also comes with expectations. You are now more visible. Your mistakes will be magnified. Every falter, hesitation, or lapse in judgment could be fatal. The weight of performance presses against you like a stone, heavier than any physical burden you have endured. Sleep offers no escape. Nights are spent on the thin straw mats, muscles screaming from yesterday's exertions, mind replaying every duel, every glance, every judgment. You dream of the crowd's roar, the sand splattered with blood, the gleam of steel in sunlight, and the faces of opponents both defeated and yet to come. You wonder how many lives will be touched by your hand before the final day, and whether each victory makes you stronger or harder to recognize as human. Interactions with fellow gladiators grow more complicated. Some approach under the guise of camaraderie, offering advice, assistance, or shared rations, yet trust is a precarious thing. Even the smallest act of kindness can be a test, a way to measure your reactions, to assess whether you can be manipulated or outmaneuvered. Rivalries simmer in silence, punctuated by brief challenges and training sparring that tests not just skill, but ego, psychology, and patience. Each confrontation leaves marks, not always visible. Bruises fade, but the subtle lessons, the threat of betrayal, and the weight of suspicion remain. Your mind adapts, learning to anticipate not just attacks in the arena, but also the shifting loyalties and ambitions of those around you. You notice patterns in behavior, a slight hesitation before a swing, a glance at the lanista, the careful placement of a weapon in training. You become a student of human nature as much as a practitioner of combat. To survive, you must predict not only the motions of your opponents, but their intentions, fears, and desires. Every day you refine this skill, sharpening perception into a weapon as lethal as any sword. The arena calls again, and with it, the pressure of fame. The crowd remembers you, anticipates your appearance, and feeds on your performance. Popularity is a double-edged sword. Admiration brings favor and attention, but also envy and scrutiny. You fight not only for survival, but for the audience's approval, for the subtle advantages that recognition brings. Every strike, every parry, every maneuver must be executed with precision and flair. Mistakes are amplified, hesitation punished, and valor rewarded, but only momentarily. The games are relentless, and the demand for spectacle never ceases. As your notoriety grows, the mental toll deepens. The line between fear and focus blurs. Adrenaline pulses constantly, keeping your senses sharp yet fraying the edges of your endurance. You begin to notice how the other gladiators watch your reactions, test your limits, and measure your confidence. Every glance from a rival carries meaning. Every whisper in the hall could be plotting. You are acutely aware that survival depends not only on your skill with a blade, but also on your ability to navigate the complex social ecosystem of the ludus. Even in moments of rest, the weight of recognition is inescapable. The crowd's memory lingers like a specter, the lanista's gaze ever watchful, and the undercurrents of rivalry swirl unseen but felt. You sleep with one eye half open, listening for whispers, shifts, and the faintest sounds of movement. The ludus is no longer just a training ground, it is a chessboard, and every day brings new moves, new threats, and new calculations. Yet, amid the fear and scrutiny, there is a growing confidence. You have survived what few have endured. You have faced death multiple times and emerged alive. You have impressed thousands, even the emperor himself. This notoriety, while dangerous, is also a source of power. It allows subtle influence, the ability to assert presence, and the knowledge that you can endure more than most. In this brutal, unyielding world, survival is both a science and an art, and you are learning to master both. The shadow of fame stretches across your life, carrying with it opportunity, danger, and relentless expectation. The arena awaits, as does the ever-present threat of rivals who envy your survival. Your journey is far from over. Every fight, every glance, every whispered plan is part of a greater test. And in this crucible of blood, sand, and steel, you realize that mastery will come not just from strength, but from cunning, perception, and the ability to endure the weight of recognition itself. The morning air is heavy with anticipation. Today's games will test not only your skill with steel, but your ability to survive against creatures born of ferocity and instinct. The amphitheater hums with excitement as thousands of spectators fill the tiers, eager to witness a different kind of spectacle. No longer is the focus solely on gladiators clashing today. Man will face the raw, unpredictable power of nature itself. You are ushered into the tunnel beneath the arena, where the smell of sweat, iron, and fear mixes with something far more primal, the musky scent of animals. Lions, leopards, and bears are caged nearby, their growls and roars reverberating off the stone walls. You catch glimpses of massive paws, sharp claws, and gleaming teeth. These are not creatures to be tamed. They are predators, unthinking yet lethal, instinctive yet cunning. The lanista walks among the gladiators, eyes assessing your posture, grip, and mental state. Today, luck will not favor hesitation. Today, strategy and reflexes will mean the difference between life and death. You can feel the tension radiating from your fellow fighters. Some are exhilarated, others frozen with fear. The mental burden is immense. Unlike human opponents, beasts do not hesitate, negotiate, or anticipate in ways a trained mind can easily predict. Their movements are raw, natural, and terrifyingly precise. The gates to the arena creak open. Sunlight floods the tunnel, blinding you for a moment. When your eyes adjust, you see the sand below, warm and stained with past struggles. The crowd's roar hits you with the force of a wave, thousands of voices merging into one overwhelming force. The animals are released first, pacing the arena with predatory grace, muscles rippling beneath fur and skin. You sense the latent danger in every twitch, every growl, every flash of claw. Your first encounter comes quickly. A lion charges a fellow gladiator, jaws snapping, claws tearing the sand. You watch, frozen for only a heartbeat before instinct takes over. You sidestep, draw your sword, and strike to distract the predator, allowing the other gladiator to flee. The sand erupts in chaos. Roars, screams, and the clash of steel and claw fill the arena. You realize immediately that brute strength alone is useless. Here, timing, anticipation, and movement are paramount. As the fight continues, you are forced to adapt. You circle, retreat, and attack, using every bit of training you possess. A bear lunges unexpectedly, its weight crashing into the sand near you. You leap aside, narrowly avoiding crushing force, and thrust your gladius at its flank, not to kill, but to redirect, to survive. Each encounter is a dance of precision, instinct, and terror. The crowd watches with wide eyes, gasping at near misses, cheering at every clever maneuver. You feel their attention like fire on your skin, driving you forward even as exhaustion gnaws at every muscle. Hours or perhaps minutes, time blurring under the intensity pass in a blur of motion and adrenaline. Lions, leopards, and bears are relentless, and each must be treated as a unique opponent. They do not fight like men. They strike without strategy, without malice, with only raw instinct. You learn quickly that hesitation is fatal and improvisation is essential. Sand flies with every dodge, every strike, every pivot. Blood mixes with sweat on both you and your opponents. Survival is now a choreography of instinct, agility, and courage. Finally, the signal is given. The remaining animals are herded away. The surviving gladiators stand, panting, trembling, and bloodied. The crowd erupts into applause, a cacophony of awe and relief. You are alive, yet every fiber of your being is taxed to the limit. Your body aches, muscles scream, and your mind reels from the constant threat of death in its rawest, most unpredictable form. Back in the barracks, the other gladiators regard you differently. There is admiration, yes, but also fear and envy. You have survived a trial that few can endure, and that survival marks you not only as skilled, but as cunning, adaptable, and formidable. Renus nods once, ever so slightly, a rare acknowledgement of respect. The younger gladiators whisper cautiously, weighing their own strategies for future encounters. You have not just survived the beasts. You have proven that your mind is as sharp as your blade, your instincts as lethal as any predator's, yet there is no comfort. The arena has already begun to write new tests. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. Human opponents, more animals, or unpredictable spectacles designed to entertain the Roman masses. The weight of survival, notoriety, and anticipation presses down relentlessly. You lie awake on the straw mat, muscles trembling, mind replaying every claw swipe, every roar, every narrow escape. In this crucible, you realize the full scope of what it means to be a gladiator. It is not simply combat, it is constant vigilance, adaptability, and mastery over both body and mind. Life is measured not only by skill with steel, but by perception, speed, and courage. Survival is temporary, fame is dangerous, and each day is a lesson written in sweat, blood, and the unforgiving gaze of Rome. Survival in the arena is no longer measured solely by skill with a sword or reflexes against beasts. You quickly learn that the true danger often lies not in the steel of your opponent or the claws of a lion, but in the cunning of those who share your fate. The ludus is as much a battlefield of minds as of bodies, and reputation can be a weapon or a target. Whispers circulate in the barracks. Some gladiators are openly wary of you. Others approach with subtle smiles and veiled comments, testing your reactions. A slip of the tongue, a glance misread, or a miscalculated gesture could be exploited. You begin to notice small shifts in behavior, a hand lingering too long near a weapon, a conversation abruptly ending when you enter, a shadow that seems to watch more intently than necessary. Every movement, every interaction is now fraught with unspoken meaning. Brennus, the scarred veteran, finally approaches. His single eye is sharp and calculating. He does not speak outright, but the nod he gives you is heavy with implication. Alliances are possible, but trust must be measured and cautious. You understand the unspoken lesson. Survival is as much about perception and manipulation as it is about skill in combat. Every conversation, every smile, every shared ration carries risk. The lanista seems to take notice of the subtle tensions as well. You are given slightly different training partners, ones who push your limits more, challenge your strategies, and occasionally test your patience. The implication is clear. Those who survive and excel attract both favor and scrutiny. Favor might mean better rations, more strategic matches, or even gifts from wealthy patrons. But scrutiny carries danger. Rival gladiators seek to undermine, distract, or provoke, and the emperor's gaze weighs every action, measuring courage, skill, and showmanship. Rumors reach your ears. Some gladiators are plotting to weaken you in the next matches, perhaps by luring you into disadvantageous fights or attempting sabotage during training. You begin to watch every movement carefully, interpreting every gesture, every word, every glance. You realize that survival now requires anticipating not only the direct threat of combat, but the hidden ambitions of those around you. When the next match is announced, it is not against beasts or single opponents. Instead, you are scheduled to face a carefully selected group of gladiators, some friendly, some openly hostile, all chosen to test your limits and reveal your vulnerabilities. The announcement spreads a chill through the barracks. Other gladiators exchange quiet calculations. Today, survival will be tested not just through physical skill, but through strategy, alliances, and wit. In the arena, the stakes feel higher than ever. The crowd roars and the sun beats down relentlessly. Opponents size each other up, eyes darting, muscles taut, ready for the first opportunity to strike. You know that even a moment of hesitation could be fatal. Each step, each feint, each swing is a negotiation between life and death, skill and instinct, strategy and chance. The first confrontation begins. You engage a known rival, his gladius clashing against yours with the fury of someone determined to see you fall. Simultaneously, a third gladiator attempts to flank, exploiting the chaos. Sand flies, steel rings against steel, and the crowd's excitement rises to a fever pitch. You adapt quickly, shifting position, using your opponent's aggression against them, redirecting blows and finding fleeting openings. Your mind moves as fast as your body, calculating angles, predicting reactions, and improvising continuously. Hours or what seems like hours pass in relentless combat. Each strike carries weight, each dodge could mean life or death. Rivals test not just your skill, but your patience, your temperament, your ability to read intentions. The crowd's roars are deafening, yet your focus narrows to the immediate. Survive, anticipate, strike when necessary. By the time the signal marks the end of combat, you stand exhausted, bloodied, yet alive. Others lie sprawled in the sand, some wounded, others dead. You have survived not just their blades, but their calculated schemes. Returning to the barracks, the weight of intrigue presses on you. You are aware now that the arena is a complex web of relationships, rivalries, and politics. Survival demands not only mastery of combat, but mastery of perception and strategy. Friendships are fragile, alliances tentative, and every action is observed, measured, and interpreted. You lie awake that night, muscles screaming, mind racing. Who can be trusted? Who will strike next? How do you navigate the delicate balance of respect, fear, and influence? You realize that being a gladiator is no longer just about skill with a blade. It is about navigating shadows, interpreting subtle cues, and manipulating perception. It is about understanding that the people around you, both friend and foe, are constantly calculating their own survival. In this brutal microcosm of Rome, intelligence and cunning are as deadly as steel. The arena has taught you to survive against beasts and men, to endure pain, to control fear, and to adapt with every passing day. Yet the psychological battle against suspicion, rivalry, and manipulation proves equally formidable. Every glance, every whispered word, every move becomes a test. And in the shadows of fame and notoriety, you learn that survival is a delicate dance, one in which a single misstep can be fatal. Tomorrow will bring new tests. More fights, more spectators, more dangers, both seen and unseen. But you have endured, and in doing so, you have learned one crucial lesson. In the world of gladiators, survival is never guaranteed. It must be seized with skill, cunning, and relentless vigilance. The day arrives. The sun rises over Rome like a blazing herald, casting long shadows across the arena. Today is not just another fight. It is the culmination of everything you have endured. The training, the rivalries, the beasts, the political games, the countless battles where life and death were measured in heartbeats and reflexes. Every bruise, every scar, every moment of fear and triumph has led to this. Today, the emperor himself watches, and the eyes of thousands weigh on your every movement. The barracks are unusually silent. Fellow gladiators look at you with a mixture of fear, awe, and envy. Some nod in subtle acknowledgement. Others keep their distance, wary of the man who has survived trials few could imagine. You tighten the straps of your armor, feel the familiar grip of your gladius, and draw a deep breath. This is the moment where skill, strategy, endurance, and willpower converge. One misstep, one lapse in focus, and death is immediate and absolute. The lanista approaches, his gaze cold, calculating as though weighing your chances. He gives a curt nod approval, warning, or perhaps a reminder that fame, skill, and survival are fleeting in Rome. You step into the tunnel leading to the arena, chains rattling briefly before they are removed. The roar of the crowd hits you like a physical force, waves of sound washing over every nerve. Thousands of voices, strangers to you, cheer, scream, and shout for spectacle. This is not merely entertainment, it is judgment, and you are the focus. The gates open. Sunlight blinds you, and the arena spreads before you like a living, breathing entity. You see your opponents, some human, some beast strategically placed, selected by the lanista and the emperor to test every skill you possess. Lions pace in cages, roaring, eyes gleaming. Fellow gladiators glare from across the sand, weapons poised, muscles coiled. Every heartbeat echoes in your chest. Survival has always been immediate, but today it carries the weight of destiny. The signal is given. Chaos erupts. Lions are released, charging toward the gladiators. Humans engage, blades clashing, shields colliding. Sand sprays as bodies pivot, strike, and dodge. Every sense is alive, sight, sound, touch, instinct, all tuned to the razor edge between life and death. You move with a combination of learned skill and raw instinct, striking when necessary, evading when survival demands. Your mind calculates, predicts, adapts, every action measured yet fluid, as if you are part of the arena itself. A lion lunges, massive and terrifying, jaws snapping. You dodge, roll, and thrust your gladius, not to kill, but to redirect, to survive. Another gladiator attempts to flank you, hoping to exploit the distraction. You pivot, block, and strike, using his momentum against him. The crowd roars, a wave of sound that drives adrenaline through your veins, even as exhaustion gnaws at every muscle. You have faced death countless times, but the combination of beast, rival, and audience scrutiny elevates tension to an unbearable height. Minutes, hours, it is impossible to measure pass in relentless combat. The sand beneath your feet is churned to a coarse, sticky mixture of sweat, blood, and grit. You are bruised, bleeding, and every muscle protests, but your mind is sharp, focused, and ruthlessly efficient. You anticipate strikes before they come, exploit weaknesses instantly, and maneuver through chaos like a predator of the arena. Every death, every near miss, every roar of the crowd strengthens resolve even as it tests endurance. Finally, the chaos subsides. The remaining gladiators stand, exhausted, bloodied, and gasping for air. The surviving beasts are driven back into cages, roaring and snapping. The emperor rises from his throne, a gesture commanding silence, and the crowd quiets, awaiting his judgment. The moment hangs suspended, every eye in the amphitheater fixed on you. Time seems to stretch, the weight of survival and recognition pressing down. The emperor raises his hand. A single thumb gesture of mercy or death. A cheer erupts, deafening as he signals favor. You are spared, alive, triumphant, yet the exhilaration is tempered by exhaustion. The lingering echo of lives taken, and the knowledge that survival is never permanent in this world. You have endured what few could imagine, human opponents, beasts, political intrigue, and the relentless expectations of Rome. Back in the barracks, the atmosphere is transformed. Fellow gladiators regard you with awe, some with envy, others with cautious respect. The Lanista-esque nod is subtle but significant, a recognition that you are no longer merely a trainee but a master of survival, strategy, and skill. Your body aches, your mind reels, but there is a profound, quiet satisfaction. You have mastered fear, pain, and uncertainty in a crucible that would have destroyed a lesser man. Yet, in the silence of the night, you understand a harsh truth. Fame and survival in the arena are fleeting. Each day, each fight, each glance of the emperor, each cheer of the crowd is temporary. Death waits for the careless, the exhausted, the arrogant. The lessons of the ludus are etched into your body, mind, and soul. Mastery is not only skill with a blade, but understanding fear, human nature, and the fragile dance of life and death. You lie on the straw, muscles trembling, heart still pounding, sweat and blood mingling, and realize the enormity of what you have endured. You are no longer just a man. You are a gladiator, a survivor, a fighter, a living testament to endurance and cunning. Rome has seen you, tested you, and for now acknowledged your mastery. The arena will continue to demand more, but tonight you have triumphed. In the quiet, a thought emerges. One day, perhaps, these trials will end, and freedom may be glimpsed. But even if it does not, the journey has forged you into something beyond ordinary man. A creature of instinct, courage, and relentless will. The sand has witnessed your story, and Rome will remember, at least for a moment, the gladiator who faced death, beasts, rivals, and the weight of an empire and survived.